got injured. When you play yourself and an inter-squad scrimmage, that's the first thing that I'm happy about. I think we did some good things. We certainly have a lot of things to work on. I don't think we're any different than any team in the country at this point, but it was good to get back out there. I think anytime you get in front of fans and it looks a little different than a practice court where the gym's empty, you get to see, have some habits sunk in. Do guys play a little bit differently with the crowd? And so, again, good things, bad things. We'll get better. I think Steven Enoch was mighty impressive. Obviously he's going against a freshman, but Steven's gotten a whole lot better. He's worked really hard this offseason. So, with that, I'll answer questions.
Mike's, do you remember questions?
Coach, if you could just talk about Steven's motor. It seemed like he played, he was the only big guy for his team. It just seemed like the way he was going and then doing some things, passing out of the post and doing some other things that maybe he didn't do as much of last year.
Yeah, again, I think that Steven's improved immensely in the last year. His conditioning is way beyond where it was a year ago. He's worked really hard at that. I think he's gained a confidence. He knows he can face the basket. He knows he can put his back to the basket. I've wanted him to play with a high motor ever since he got here. Now, again, the trick of it is, can he be that consistent guy, throughout? There's going to be games where he gets in foul trouble, but I just think, like you said, plays with that motor. He's going to be tough to handle. And he's so skilled. He can shoot the ball. I think we're going to put him in position where our players aren't just standing around watching him in the post at times, to add some cuts, some screening action, so we occupy the defense away from him. He made a nice little pass, as you said, to Josh underneath the hoop. So, all that's designed to try to make him a better player. But, I said to one of the coaches beforehand, I said, man, can Steve go 20 straight minutes? And I think he did. It was pretty impressive.
Jordan and Steven said earlier this week that practices have been really competitive thus far. Do you agree with that, and did you see that today, guys just competing, getting after each other?
Yeah, I think they've been more competitive than they were last year. We have more bodies. If we had David and Malik, it would be even more competitive. That's just part of being a deeper team. But I do like how our practices have gone. We haven't been perfect. We've had some practices where we ended the day, and I didn't like how we looked or how we improved from the day before. But we're going to try to make every day count. Some days we're going 2 a day. We'll have a secret scrimmage coming up, and then we'll have an exhibition game against a really good team. We have to be further along this year more than ever with the fact that we're playing an ACC team to start things off.
I guess the one thing I noticed, Coach, is the physicality. I think this team's a lot more physical. I mean, they were really banging out there. Is that something you guys put a lot of emphasis on?
We definitely want to be a physical team. We want to be a team that beats you up on the offensive glass. I don't think we were great. We want to be a team that limits teams to second shots, doesn't get any. Goes without saying they've been working hard with Coach Kettler. Our freshmen have, some have lost body fat, some have, lost weight. They needed to. Some guys have gained a lot of weight and gained strength. And all the way across the board, I think our players are invested in that weight room. And we need to be, and I thought it's hard because when you're around your guys every day, it's like you're around your own kids. I got kids and, we'll show up to some place and, a friend of mine will be like, man, your daughter's gotten inches taller since the last time I think she's always the same size, So same thing with our guys. I can't see the difference necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but that's good to hear. It means Kettler can keep his job.
You mentioned with Malik out, how important is it for Steven just to kind of come with that and be that impact guy?
Real important. Real important. As I said before, with the added depth, when Malik gets back, when David gets back, we can play Malik and Steven together. I don't think we could do that a year ago, based on personnel. This year, I think we can do that at times. That won't be our main focus, but I think we can play a lot of different ways. But to have Steven be able to be as durable and in the shape that he is only going to help our team.
Chris, talk about the progression of your point guard spot between Darius and Kimball thus far.
Yeah, I don't think Fresh played very well today. I thought Darius played pretty well. He had a few lapses, but to go 5 assists and 1 turnover for a scrimmage, I think the 1 turnover was on the break right there at the basket. So we need that. We need that type of play. I keep telling those guys, Darius has the ability to play both on and off the ball and can be a potent scorer at times. He just has to know what his role is, on a given team. Who's he in the game with? What position is he playing? What's his matchup look like? He's gotten a ton better from a year ago. I'm really excited to watch Darius in the preseason. His defense has been terrific. He's hounding the ball. And for the most part, he's making the right play and has kept the same attitude. So Fresh has to be better. I thought, in terms of, he just didn't do a whole lot. 3 assists, 2 turnovers, didn't make a shot. He's a better shooter than that. The first time he's played in the Yum Center, but we need him to be better than that for sure.
Who are you looking to be like the main communicator to get them to really talk to each other on the court?
I don't know if there's one person. Malik has been a guy that you never have to worry about, his communication, although I worry about it now because he's out. So we have to do it as a group. And I think that you're always going to be dependent on your older players, your experienced players. They've been through ACC play. They've been in big moments. So our older guys have to do a better job and have to be held accountable to communicating for sure. I think they lost a little bit out of their oxygen tank throughout the scrimmage. So we got to get there.
Did you like what you saw out of Jordan? I don't know if this is on. Did you like what you saw out of Jordan today, and what's your reaction to the Player of the Year hype?
Well, I don't think it's hype. I mean, he's one of the best players in the ACC. His reaction is the most important thing. Not how I feel or other people feel. How he comes to practice every day, the desire to get better in maybe areas that we've addressed with him so that he can become better. And so he wasn't perfect today, but I thought that he did some really, really good things. You got to get him out of the habit at times of wanting to gamble. For every one you get, you might give up another one. And so, that's our job as coaches. But he's a terrific player. You can see what he can do behind the line. I think we have more weapons around him, so he's got to be a little bit more patient. But yeah, he should have a great year.
Dwayne seemed like he was much more active defensively. I don't know if that was a product of just having to go against Jordan, but he got a couple steals out there. What do you see from him on that end?
Dwayne's a cheater. He's really, really smart. So he knows what plays we're running and what we're looking for, and he can just sniff it out and act like he's not paying attention and capitalize on a freshman making an errant pass. But, I love Dwayne. I've said it from day one. He's a winner. We need to keep Dwayne fresh. I thought as the year went on, played a lot of minutes. He wore down. We are not going to let him do that this year, but he's a tough kid. He just, he wins. Guess what? His team won the scrimmage again today.
Coach, you kind of mentioned the fact that for the health of your team, you wanted to go with 45-minute practice and then the 20-minute scrimmage. Just talk about, how you balance trying to bring that physical nature to practice while also keeping the team healthy and good to go.
It's tough. That's a great question. How do I balance, having physical, competitive practices but I'm a big believer in that you either jump on one side of the fence or the other. You can't say we're going to be a tough team and have all fluffy practices where we just shoot the ball and nobody gets in the stands and nobody jabs a forearm in a guy's chest. So we're going to do those competitive drills. We're going to do rebounding drills with a bubble up and where the ball can't go in. And that's just what you have to do to be a Cardinal.
You mentioned freshman mistake earlier. This is their first time playing in front of fans at the Yum Center. Is what we saw today similar to what you've seen from them in practice so far?
I think they've been better at times. It's probably hard to put all 6 of them in the same category and say that this is how I feel about them as a group. But, we didn't score a lot of points. We made a lot of mistakes between those freshmen. But, I think just the reality of you're going against guys that have been ACC players now for 2 or 3 years. You know, you're going to be better for the most part with your older players, and our younger guys have to continue to get better. They've all had their moments throughout the preseason, and they've all had their not so good moments. So we just have to continue to get them better, keep them confident, and they're all going to help Louisville at some point. Some of those guys are going to be more impact guys on the front end than others, but each one of them are going to have their moments in a Cardinal uniform. I really believe that. You know, we didn't miss on any of those guys. They just have to stay with it and know that this level, it does not come easy. And I think they're learning that.
Dwayne drew 7 fouls according to this, and Steven drew 5. If you're able to play Malik and Steven at the same time, does that have a trickle-down effect on how aggressively you can play, or are they just getting smarter about how to draw fouls without committing them?
Well, I think Dwayne's he's always around the ball, and he's physical and he's tough. Steven's such a load that if you front him, you know, he's going to look for a lob, you know, from the perimeter players. So we want our guys to try to draw fouls, driving the ball, getting to the line. You know, we were the best free throw shooting team a year ago. Big part of that is Steven is a terrific free throw shooter for a big man. You know, Malik's not too far behind. And so, you know, I think Jordan and Sam can shoot free throws. Dwayne, obviously Ryan and Darius are excellent free throw shooters. So we do want to be a team that's physical, that gets to the line. And, you know, the bigger lineup we play, the more guys that go to the offensive glass, the more contact's going to happen, the more that we can earn those type of opportunities, Tim.
Coach, once you've got everybody healthy, how do you think that's going to impact your starting lineup? And do you think it's going to be something that kind of changes depending on the teams that you're playing?
Now, as a coach, I'd like to have 5 guys I know are starters, who's coming off the bench, so that roles can really get established. But a year ago, I didn't feel like we were getting consistent. You know, who can I count on? Who will be what on any given night? And you know, there were some constants. You know, I felt like I knew what I was getting in Cunningham. I felt like I knew what I was getting in Dwayne Sutton. And so that's why those guys never missed a game. And so I think that our older players have been with me now a year, so they understand what I expect. There have been no positions earned. Certainly, you know, some guys you would think, hey, that guy's going to be a starter. But they've got to show us in practice that they're willing every single day to be the same guy. And there is more competition. And so, you know, we'll still see what the lineup looks like. The depth allows us to play differently, different ways. There's going to be a lot of different styles we face. And you guys know that. So that's what the depth can do for us.
Chris, got to ask you a random question. This is the first time these fans got to see the new court. What's your thoughts on it, and what's the feedback you've gotten from the players?
Well, I love it. I wouldn't have, you know, sort of agreed to, hey, let's have this look if I didn't like it. But hopefully the fans appreciate it. I know it honors our great history. You know, I think the retro look is really cool. So hopefully Louisville fans feel the same way.
What are you seeing out of Darius that has you encouraged, considering the struggles he had last year?
Yeah, he's been the same guy each and every day. I'd like to think it's maturity more than it's, you know, Coach Mack's guidance. And obviously I hope I have a part in it, but I tell him what I want out of him. And I've continued to do that since the time I've gotten here. I just think, you know, a sophomore going into his junior year, I think he's really allowed himself to be coached. I think he's, you know, mindful of when he makes a mistake that he has to get out of, you know, his own way and not feel sorry for what just happened and like proceed on to the next play. And I think he's done that. And you know, at times I put him with all the freshmen. We change the red-white teams up almost every, you know, couple days. And so knowing that he's going to be on a team where guys make a lot of mistakes is going to lead to frustration. He's going to lose a couple drills. And being able to put him in those situations and see how he responds, I think will ultimately define Darius. I couldn't be more pleased to this point. And, you know, it's got to be all throughout the year, but I really think he's starting to turn the corner and has turned the corner. You know, he's always been a really good player. I think he just has to understand, you know, what our team needs from him and then deliver in that area. And he's, like I said, he's done a really good job thus far. He's been fun to coach.
Aiden didn't play too much today. Was that because you were maybe trying to conserve his health, or was it because of some early mistakes that he made?
Aiden, I would say that, you know, his wind isn't where Steve's is. You know, he's learning. He's never played against that type of physicality. Steven's one of the best bigs and the biggest bigs in the country. And, you know, he was playing against, you know, 5'10", blue-eyed, blonde-haired kids last year. You know, and that's not what he's going up against now. So Quinn would relieve him, and then Aiden would get his breath and go back in and give it his best shot. But we're always instructing. He wasn't pulled because, you know, he was making mistake after mistake. He was pulled, he was tired. So, gotta get through it.
Give us an update on Malik when you expect him back.
I don't think the timeline, Tim, has changed at all. It was 6 to 8 weeks. I apologize, I don't know exactly. I remember thinking, okay, 6 weeks would put him at the Monday before we played Miami, Florida. So do I think he'll be available for Miami? Probably not. And so you're probably looking at mid-November. I don't want to say at the earliest. Again, he's been in the boot. So, you know, with David, it's rehab. It's, you know, he's doing exercises. He's getting stronger. He's progressing. Malik is just more keep it in the boot and let's let it heal versus doing a lot of rehab exercises. So that timeline hasn't changed 6 to 8 weeks from the day he had surgery.
What do you think of the buzz in this building today and just the buzz around town with such a highly anticipated season?
Well, the buzz sort of ticked me off because it took me 30 minutes to get here. The blockage of the highway and everything. So it was 12 till 1 when I pulled into the garage, and the guy said, I thought we were going to start without you. And that almost happened. But we're excited. You know, I hope fans are excited. We need them to fill the building and be passionate. I saw where Young Center was voted by, you know, the players in our conference as the best place, best arena to play in. I'm hopeful that's not because I think it's an easy W when they walk in here, but that we have, in my opinion, the best atmosphere and building in all college basketball. So it's exciting.
Last one.
Chris, you mentioned starting with Miami. What are your thoughts on the first game of the season being an ACC game?
I'm not a huge fan. I know they had to figure out how to add those 2 extra games. I'm not here to, you know, I don't know, opine on, you know, why it's not a problem. They have the same issue that we do. Only the difference is they get to play at home. So we have to be prepared. And I don't think anybody in our league is going 20-0. Could be wrong. But the league is so difficult and challenging, and we just have to get our team ready to go, be ready, more ready than we were a year ago. We played Nicholls State in the beginning of the year. We didn't play very well. So that's why I'm thankful that we were able to do a scrimmage. And then, you know, Bellarmine will give us a great test, a different test. And we have to be as ready as we possibly can be to go play a team that, you know, has got a really dynamic point guard and a lights-out shooter on the wing and some young guys along with transfer. So it'll be a challenge. We know that. And we're excited to get the season going, but we've got a lot of work to do between now and then.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank